One of the most lovely memories was pre the rehearsal. Max, the conductor, who now has a job as a working musician, percussionist with the Royal Opera, Welsh Royal Opera, and he came down to go over a few things musically with me. He sat at the piano, and I had my cantabile carol with me. I had just the piano music that accompanies the voice. Bless him, he played it in the wrong key, and it was so funny, him trying to play it, and I was laughing. It was so important. Then when it came to the rehearsal, Marilyn, who is his grandmother, asking all the instrumentals, what would you like for coffee, what would you like for a drink, and sitting there, hearing them play my music. But I must have been, there was one point, and it is memorable for me, when I couldn't remember the lead out, the woodwind and horn lead out that I'd written for that carol. And then I heard it the first time. It hit me painfully. I felt it. It was so sad, and they played it so well, and and what was lovely was that Max had arranged a piece for this very unusual combination of instruments. He'd written a piece to fit these players, Softly As I Leave You, and he'd actually arranged this. It was a beautiful arrangement, so well crafted. But he'd made a transpositional mistake for the cornet, and I thought, oh, good on you, Max. I'm not the only one. And but what was lovely about those people, and they're, because they're such good, oh, he's made a mistake. Nothing. They just get on with it and correct it. You don't get any of that nonsense with them. Ding! Oh, sorry. I love that sound. What a beautiful sound. That's fantastic. That's a magical, a children's cash register. If you have a body of work behind you, that you've got several pieces that don't get played much or don't get aired much at all musically, you've got leeway with that, because you can use the pieces again if they've only been heard once. Then you need to start work. If it's a carol concert, if it's a Christmas concert, you have a little bit of a head start, because you can arrange one or two carols for people to sing with the organ and the what do you call it, the orchestra, the little orchestra. You've got a head start because they're known to me. I can write from knowing a piece. If it's writing a piece that I don't know, there's a lot of work there. It's a very unusual combination. You've got solo flute, solo oboe, cornet in B flat representing a trumpet because they're so similar, horn in F, the F major horn, string quartet, two timps. Who ever heard of timps with a string quartet? I call it the illegal assembly because it's so unusual, but due to because they're such good players, it works. They're very, very good. They're from the College of Music and Drama, Wales. I had a few piano lessons at school, at Exhall Grange School in Coventry during the 70s, and I used to study the hymn book because I found I really loved hymn music. The predictability of it, the sort of nature of hymn music is very choral based, traditional 4-part harmony. It was, I could learn from that. The very first piece of music that I ever wrote was a piece for Audrey's first grandchild called Beth. And it was in 1978. Exhall Grange School. I wrote half of the piece at school and half of the piece at home. How I went about that was lying on the floor in the dormitory on a linoleum floor and just writing out the piece in 3/time in E flat major, which is an unusual key for someone just beginning to play the piano, but I liked it because most hymn tunes were in that key. And I wrote that half at school and half at home. Then I wrote the words as well to go with it. And that was for Audrey's granddaughter, her first grandchild. Hush, my dear, sleep, my dear, for the night draweth near. Not a cry, not a tear, slumber thou still. The two musically most interesting pieces would be the piece I called the Scout Hut, to sort of commemorate an old building that was demolished at the back of where I live, at the back of where I live. It used to be a scout hut in the 60s. It used to watch over us, and it became very derelict and unloved. There are houses there now, but I loved that old scout. It knew us. It watched over us for many years. So I thought I'll write the piece called the Scout Hut and have that that's very energetic, it's full of hope and full of life. The other is not my piece, but I arranged it, called the Carol. It's quite technically difficult, but the instrument, they play it so well. And Max, who's the conductor, he really liked this piece. He said, "I love this score." "Oh, do you? Gosh, well, I'll have it again then in the next concert. I'll put those two in again," because he seemed to like those. The next concert, for which I've now prepared all the parts, and interestingly I didn't mention this, but I tried to imagine how Brexit Article 50 would sound in music. I tried, and I thought of all the consternation it had caused between various different beliefs, and I tried to put that into music. So it's quite a challenging, aggressive in places piece to show this, but it resolves. It resolves to a German-based folk melody, but it's now become sort of rooted in German folklore. Ach wie ich möglich kann, I can't remember how to pronounce it. It's a beautiful song. It resolves to that after all the angst. So you've got Article 50, you've got a piece called an underture. I call it an underture because it's not that well developed. There's that, and they're two intriguing pieces that people, I'm sure, will find interesting. And even if you don't come to hear my music, just come and hear these players. They're worth the effort of coming up that hill in a car. They really are. To Randwick Parish Church on the 4th of December.
And what will you be doing on the morning of the concert?
Waiting for the time of our rehearsal. Waiting for when I have to go up with the singer, Sue Brown. In her car, she'll probably pick me up and take me to the rehearsal, and seeing how all that unfolds. And that's very emotional. That is very emotional. That is a lot to take. There's a lot there. And I must say that I am affected, very affected. Not affected as in affectation, but I feel it. I feel it so much when they're rehearsing it. Knowing that this is a one-off, that it's so rare that it happens. You've got to make the most of that. So we hope for your support, and we'd be really grateful for you to come. Thank you for listening.